Hello and welcome to A Problem Squared, the problem-solving podcast, which is a bit like a biscuit, in that you can enjoy us anytime, anywhere. We go best with a cup of tea, and if the volume on your listening device is broken, we are difficult to turn down.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Sort of makes sense.
It's true. It's convoluted, but it's correct.
And that voice you can hear there is one of your hosts, comedian, writer, and celebrity mathematician, Matt Parker, who is probably a rich tea biscuit,
Oh,
I
a
would
rich
say.
tea biscuit.
Yeah, because I think at first, some people might think you're a little bit plain.
Yeah, keep talking.
But then you're surprisingly Moorish and popular.
Yeah, more popular than it should be. I would take that as an accurate... Is that one with frills around the edge?
I mean, not. I wouldn't.
Rich tea. Is that like is that a disc or is that
It's
like
a disc.
Oh, I know the ones.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't think they do have frills. I think it's
no,
very
you're
plain.
right. I think it's super plain.
It's the beige of biscuits.
But you can also
It is
use
the
it.
middle-aged white guy of biscuits.
Thank you. You can also use it to calculate pi. So I like it.
You are a rich tea. And me, on the other hand, this voice you could hear
Yep.
is the other host, a comedian, writer, and presenter, Beck Hill. And if I was a biscuit, I would be a jammy dodger because I am very sticky. Full of jam.
Wow. I mean, is that because you do a lot of arts and crafts that leaves you with
I
residue?
You know, I'd like to say that, but it's probably just because I eat a lot of
you eat
sugary
a lot of jam
things.
and sugar. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I eat jam like Winnie the Pooh eats honey. Just scoop it out the jar with
Surrounded
my
by
hands.
bees.
On this episode,
I've calculated how many molehills per mountain,
I'll help you find friends.
and I've got a correction to some maths.
It takes a big man to own up to his mistakes.
I'm ready.
Matt, how are you? How have
I'm
you been
good.
since the last 2 weeks?
Oh my goodness. I am now 1,000,000 times better than I have ever been before.
I see what you did there.
It happened. I'm now on 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Oh, it took so long.
You know what I could have done? Could have
Yeah.
brought some champagne or something. Did I?
Nah, nothing.
Nah.
Nah.
Got nothing for you.
That's all right.
If anything, I came over and was like, I'm going to stay at your place. It's nice weather.
You can entertain me.
Yeah.
That's your treat.
Oh, and I'm going to be
Hitting
late.
1,000,000 subs. Thanks, Beck.
Yeah, I did bring giant marshmallows.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not for now, in case we have a fire
Oh,
later.
we'll have a fire. We'll have a
I
fire.
didn't bring my burning things.
Oh, my God. We've opened so many catch-up cans at this point.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, we'll
Oh,
wind
my
it back.
goodness.
We'll wind it back.
Okay, so I hit 1,000,000 subs like a week and a bit ago and a day ago. I hit 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, but you're not counting or anything.
I was, you know what? People I know were keeping much closer eye on it than I was.
Was I one of them?
You were.
I've texted-
I think you were one of them.
I've checked a lot, and when it got to 97,000, I think I texted
yeah,
you and
you
was
were
like,
you're so close.
Yeah.
And I met some friends who came to see me do a show in Cheltenham. And you know that thing where I don't tend to pop out before the show because I'm getting ready and frantically doing things. I saw through a window they were there and I popped out just to say hi. First words out of their mouth were, "You're so close." And they had like the number on their phone. And what was beautiful about it was the day it ticked over. It ticked over in the morning. And that night and the next night, I was hosting an evening of Unnecessary Detail at Bloomsbury. And I got to introduce Steve Mould. And so both times I got to make it all about me and my 1,000,000 subscribers. The first night I got to the joke of, I remember back before I had 1,000,000 subscribers, it was this morning.
Nice.
And then the following night I got to do, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yay.
And those jokes would have gone to waste if I hadn't had a couple hundred people paying to let me let me air them and get it off. So, I was very pleased. And how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Did you hear about the experience that I had in Manchester?
No.
Okay. So for Makeaway Takeaway, we were filming a block for a week.
You were gone for a whole week. I remember this.
Yeah, we're in Manchester. We were filming in this big house.
Yep. They hired a house for the week.
Yeah. And
Right.
I say Manchester. It was outside. It was like sort of rural-ish. They need someone to legally stay in the house overnight because they leave all the camera equipment and everything
for insurance
there.
purposes.
Yeah. And last year I did it, had a lovely time, you know, wake up to birds and everything. There was a deer in the garden once, and it's a big garden too. I just felt like
you can
a
live
fancy
the life. You can like be living on the rural estate for a week.
Yeah, I felt
as lady
rich.
of the manor.
I was very, very privileged. I was very happy. And I had a writing deadline coming up. So I was like, great, I'll do it again. I'll stay in the house. And one night we'd finished filming and everything. I reckon it was about maybe 11 or something. And I'm writing the third Horror Heights book I'm working on.
You are writing horror in your spare time.
I'm writing horror. And it's a book about a girl who her phone is haunted and there's a terrifying old lady that keeps showing up and appearing, but also her bedroom is in an attic. So she keeps hearing like creaking noises and stuff. And as I'm typing, I hear a knock at the door and I go and check it out and it's a sound guy. So I went and did whatever he needed to do and left. And I was like, oh, okay. Then we get to about like 11, sort of midnight-ish. And I heard someone walking around downstairs. And my first thought was, oh, the sound guy's come back. Sound guy's back. And so I just went, hi, and like called out. And the house was like, hello. And then the footsteps stopped. And I was expecting someone to go, oh, yeah, it's just me.
It's person.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there wasn't anything. I was like, hello? Okay. That's terrifying.
That's terrifying.
So I went out to the landing. And it's one of those landings that sort of wraps around. Yeah. So it's like a well, right? It's just what a waste of space, personally.
Like an atrium.
I guess. I want to say mezzanine.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you, It's like a mezzanine that wraps around a void.
But yeah, there's no one there. I called out some more times. And so I ended up going onto Twitter where all my friends are and saying to everyone, look, I'm going to investigate.
Heading down.
Investigate, make sure that there's no one in the house, but I'll film it. And I was sort of saying that as well because I thought if I say it aloud, like as I'm going around, like as I'm filming, if there is someone in the house, they know I'm filming and they might be like, oh, I won't attack this woman.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe they'll just go quietly or try and run away or something. That was my genuine thought. The thing is, I'm actually quite skeptical. It's why I like horror and everything because I think it's scary to think that you can't explain something.
Yeah.
But I tend to be able to explain most things. And so my biggest fear was that there was someone coming in to steal the camera equipment. That was my biggest fear.
It's literally your job.
Yeah. And there's like signs everywhere. You know those location signs they have, the little like fluorescent yellow or orange.
How to get to the set.
Because we have to have people coming in and every day. So
expensive things this way.
Yeah, basically, Signs
First
are going
exit,
off the main
expensive
road.
Things. Yep.
Here's all the expensive things. So I was like, oh no, someone's come to steal the stuff and I haven't thought this through. And because I'm all brave when I'm pretty sure no one's going to rob us.
All that privilege comes with some responsibility.
Ugh. So, and I did actually end up calling the crew and stuff as well. And they offered to come round or call police and stuff. But I was like, do you know what? I reckon it's more likely weird house sounds or props falling over, something like that. I just want to find out what it is.
Yeah. Do a first pass. If you don't hear from me.
Yeah. And then I was like, if there is definitely someone here, then I'll be in touch. Yeah. Did a full pass of the house. Couldn't find anyone, and then realized that the front door there was two doors. There's like the door that I could see was closed, but the one that goes out to the outside world was open. And I was like, oh, the sound guy has left, not shut the door properly. The wind has been blowing it because it's windy outside.
It's been knocking it around.
Okay, that's probably what it was. So I locked the door. I said to my friend, oh, I think I found it. This is the problem. And he said, well, if there is someone in the house, you've just locked them in the house with you.
That's not helping.
and so
now they can't get out.
Now the only way they can get out is by taking the keys off you. Yeah. And I was like, but I don't want to leave the keys, And I think that was just playing on my mind because as I came around the corner, there is a room directly opposite the room I was coming out of, a dark room.
Oh my. Oh.
And I saw...
This is terrifying.
I saw a foot take a step back from the doorway as if someone saw me coming around the corner, took a step back. And I said a lot of words, which I won't repeat.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah. And then I just yelled out, I'm calling the police. I've seen enough films. I poke my head in there. I'm getting hit over the head with a
Yep.
baseball bat.
Yep, or a vase.
More likely a vase, actually, in
Yeah.
Britain. So I started calling the police, and then I saw the foot start to come out again, and I was like, sugar.
Wow, mate.
I was like trying to quickly dial, and then my eyes adjusted, and I realized that it was a mouse.
A what? A mouse?
Yeah, but it was pretty, like wasn't a teeny tiny mouse.
Oh.
It was big enough that it did look like the end of like a brown shoe.
You got Stuart Littled.
I did get Stuart Little. And I realized this is just two separate things that my brain just assumed were related.
Yeah.
Because the
Creaky door.
that was definitely sounded like human footsteps. It was heavy. So no mouse is making that noise.
No. But a mouse
But-
does look.
Happening to see a mouse, my brain never thought, oh, I bet it was a mouse, because my brain is still thinking, what if there is
Thinking
a
feet.
human inside the
Yeah.
house?
That's terrifying.
Oh, by the way, book 2, Horror Heights, comes out April 28th. Our first problem comes from Simon. This
Yep.
is for you, Matt. Simon would like to know, how many molehills would you need to make a mountain out of them?
It's great. I can't believe I've never thought of this before.
No.
It's because everyone says don't make a mountain out
Yeah.
of a molehill.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
this is what if you had enough molehills to be a
That you
mountain?
could.
You could, exactly. In which case you should be worried.
Yeah, because I guess don't make a mountain out of a molehill it's almost like saying you can't.
Yeah.
Like,
Or you shouldn't. It's like
don't treat a molehill
no,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a mountain.
if you hear a single creepy footstep at night, you don't want to make a whole mountain out of that.
No,
But enough of them,
enough of them. You got
it's
yourself
worth
a
making
thread,
a mountain.
baby.
Exactly, yeah.
A
So
tweet throw.
the question is, you got some organic engagement. So the question is, how many molehills to the mountain? And I was like, that's such a good problem.
Yeah,
So guess what I did?
you worked it out.
I went and found a molehill.
What?
Because so often for these things, I'm forever Googling how big is an Antarctic krill or something, right?
How fast
How
is a
big is a
penguin?
shrimp? How fast is a penguin?
Actually, you didn't Google that.
No,
You
I didn't.
asked
I spoke
someone.
to the penguin expert. Exactly. So I'm always happiest if I'm not just Googling and looking it up.
Yeah.
So I was like, we live in England.
Mhm.
We have moles.
Yes.
And they make molehills.
Do we have? Well, obviously we do have moles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never seen one. There's a local village green near where I live
Adorable.
in the town of Hascombe. I don't think you've been to Hascombe. One time I'll take you there. It's like this achingly British. There's like a village hall and there's like a big open green expanse. And there's a nice local pub not far from there. It's a great place for walks.
It does sound
and
nice.
everything. I know
Has
about
come,
it.
will come.
Exactly. In fact, this trip, maybe if we get a chance, we'll head over.
We'll do it.
Yeah. But one time, at some point, we'll do it. And I know about it because of my cycling through all sorts of tiny back roads all across Surrey.
Yeah.
And I cycled past it. And one day I went, this would be a really good place to walk a dog. And so now we take our dog Skylab there and walk her around. It's nice and quiet. There's a few local dogs that she knows, but she gets to run around on this green. However, we've been gradually watching the molehills encroach out onto the green, which doubles as a cricket pitch. And there's like a football goals and stuff, right? So this-
When you said which doubles as a cricket pit, I was like, just still thinking animals.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
There's
I was like,
crickets,
Molehills, cricket
crickets,
pitches.
everything. There's deer. We've seen deer there. It's
That's nice.
achingly British. Lucy does not like the molehills. I mean, she's not going to exterminate the moles,
Mm.
but during winter they freeze.
Oh.
And I'm wearing pretty decent shoes. Not the moles, the molehills.
Right. Oh, okay.
I'm wearing pretty decent shoes. Her shoes are a little less. They don't double as armor. And so she's constantly kicking frozen solid molehills and
Right.
she keeps hurting her foot on them. So
Which-
she's annoyed at these
Serves
things.
her right for kicking them.
Yeah. Kicking the molehill, exactly. That's where the phrase comes from.
Yes.
So when I saw this problem, I was like, this is great. I will just go there with the dog. I will measure some molehills.
Mm.
And I'll look up how big a mountain is and just divide one into the other.
Mm-hmm.
We got there this morning,
All gone.
cleared the molehills.
Oh, my goodness.
They were all gone. They'd mown all the lawn and cleared the molehills ready for, we are recording right on Easter weekend.
Mm.
And so they had cleared it all. And I got there for months. These molehills have been everywhere on the one side of the green. None. Except
They always say that. Measure your molehills.
measure your molehills.
And you
while
never
got
know
'em.
when they'll
Yeah.
go. It's like that
A mole in the hill is worth
paved
two on the
paradise,
mountain.
put up a parking lot.
That's
it's
it.
that,
Exactly,
but
it's
with
exactly like
molehills.
that. You don't know what you've got. Where I've done the rest of the lyrics. So but the thing is, the council had demolehilled.
Mhm.
I can guarantee there's a minimum of one mole
Mm.
because once I walked over, from a distance, I could see they were gone. As I got closer, there was a single molehill that had been pushed up overnight.
I hope that that's the one that did all the others. Like,
just a single,
like-
single mole working around the clock.
And he's like, good
Yeah, I
riddance.
can't believe you.
He's like the king of the molehill now. Not king of the
Everyone
mountain.
else is, not king of the mountain. Yes, there was one molehill, so I measured it, and it was 38 centimeters in diameter at the base.
Mhm.
And it's like we would call it a frustum in maths. It's like the base of a cone.
Mhm.
So it starts.
Yeah, like those ones that they use in PE that are like not the full plastic cones, but
just the base of the cone.
Yeah,
yeah.
You could probably like put like a soccer ball or a football on
on
top,
the
and it wouldn't roll away.
Exactly like that. Yeah. So it starts with the diameter, like the base is a circle of 38 centimeters across.
Mhm.
It's then 13 centimeters high, and it kind of has a plateau, which was about 23 centimeters.
Like a little volcano.
Across. Yeah, like a little volcano. But we're kind of solid. And so actually, you know what? I'll show you. We'll put a photo out on social media. There's the molehill with both measuring tape and dog for scale.
It does look like you've just dumped a bunch of dirt.
It does. It literally looks like a pile of dirt on the ground, doesn't it? Like, here's all the, there it is in the middle of the green.
It's quite pretty, actually.
I got all the measurements. I worked out its volume.
Mhm.
It is just shy of 10 liters.
Oh,
Yeah. It's 0.00969 cubic meters. So about 10 liters of dirt. That's your standard issue molehill. Now, a mountain, I didn't go measure a mountain. I just looked it up. And apparently it's got to be 1,000 feet high.
okay. So is that the cutoff for when it goes from hill to mountain?
Hill to mountain, 1,000 foot. Or
Right.
304.8 meters.
So, and I'm like, I am like 165 centimeters.
Right,
That's like
yep.
5'5", I think.
Yeah.
So
you're-
5'5", 5'6", something like that
That you would need about 200 becks.
to make a mountain.
Okay. So the question now is, how wide is this mountain? But specifically, like most mountains are rock, but specifically, this is a mountain made out of molehills. So it's all the dirt from the molehills. I assume you're moving it somewhere because, like, in terms of making a molehill, the dirt's just come from underneath and it's pushed up.
Yeah.
That's a terrible way to make a mountain.
Yeah.
The foundation is like
it would just collapse in on itself eventually.
Yeah, you're taking a mountain's worth of dirt and moving it up and hoping it stays there. That's not going to work. So I'm assuming you're getting a number of molehills and piling them all up into a mountain. But now you got to work out how wide will the pile get for it to be able to be 100.
Hey, I know this problem.
Be able to be 1,000 foot tall.
This is Ferrero Rocher all over again.
It's not far. No, I'm assuming.
I know the trick. We got to get a polystyrene cone and we got to stick the
stick the molehills to the outside. That's. Do you ever see a mountain in a advertising commercial? That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. They just
Styrofoam core.
stuck molehills
on
to
the
a
outside.
styrofoam core.
Yes. So the problem now is, if you start piling up dirt, eventually it'll kind of slump down. Then you pile more up and it slumps down.
Yeah.
And the angle it naturally forms is called the angle of repose. And that varies substance to substance. So sand would slump more than like sticky mud would or something
So like
else.
with an hourglass, that moment where it all slides.
Exactly that. Yeah. So it builds up, slides. And so I had to look up what the angle is. And it's not what you get in the molehill. Because one solution would be just scale up the molehill. And if I just do the height of a mountain divided by 13 centimeters, it's, oh my goodness, 2,345 times bigger.
Right. Wow.
That's just height. So like we do the cube for the volume. So that comes out just over 12 billion. But that's not how it works because the molehill isn't big enough to slump. And I calculated the angle on the side of the molehill and it's about 60 degrees.
Oh.
And you never get dirt staying on an angle of 60 degrees if you keep piling it on. It's only because the molehill's too small to slump that you get this quite sharp edge.
Right.
You never get, I looked this up, from what I can see online, you never get dirt with more than a 45-degree angle if it's just being piled up and slumping. That's like the maximum. So this is just because it wasn't big enough to slump, but a mountain's going to slump.
Yeah.
So now I worked out if you had the maximum angle at 45 degrees,
Yeah.
so you're basically, your radius of the base is the same as the height.
Mm-hmm.
I then worked out the volume of that. Then I divided in the volume of a single molehill. So assuming optimal slumpage, so you'd have to put them in carefully to minimize
Yeah.
it all falling
So how
down.
wide is this mountain?
It would be just over 600 meters from side to side.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
For a 45-degree angle. The biggest mountain in the solar system is Olympus Mons on Mars.
Mm.
And I thought I'd just run the numbers on that. And it has an angle of repose of under 5 degrees.
Wow.
So it's super, super shallow because it's just been sat on Mars for ages, right?
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much flat. So it's huge. It is 25,000 meters high, but it's over 600 kilometers, like 600,000
It's not a
meters
mountain,
wide.
is it? It's just a big
It's
bulge.
a very big bulge.
It's just a big hill, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
So, and you're an
And I am a
expert.
hill. I am yeah.
So this is the ultimate packing. So ultimate packing based off the single molehill I measured, which is now the canonical. Well, it's not a cone, is it? The non-cone canonical molehill. And it's 3 billion. Well, I got specifically 3,60,370,873 molehills. I'm prepared to admit there's probably some rounding. You shouldn't justify that level of precision. So, and that's smaller than the number we got from just scaling it up because we didn't need those super sharp, because scaling it up, I'm assuming it's still got that massive plateau at the top.
Yeah.
And so that's scaled right back. Whereas in this case, it's 45-degree slope straight up to a point, 3 billion molehills per mountain.
Yeah. And you're basically just taking the dirt from a molehill and sticking it in there, aren't you?
I'm not
It's
factoring
technically
in...
not a molehill anymore.
Oh. The moment you move it, does it cease to be a molehill? Because it's just dirt.
Yeah.
Oh, it's repurposed molehill.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've not factored in anything else because people are like, yeah, but the dirt at the bottom would be compressed. I'm just assuming the density stays the same. So we now know that while you cannot make a mountain out of a molehill, you can make 1/3 billionth of a mountain out of a molehill.
Aw.
So there's our molehill to mountain conversion ratio.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Well, I think I mean, but
you can't argue with that.
well, I can't argue with that, Matt.
You can't.
And as a hill, I approve of all of that.
You are uniquely qualified.
That all makes sense. So
There you go.
personally, I'm going to give that a ding.
Thank you. Beck, we have a problem directed specifically at you from Marcus Petri Like the Dish. I assume that's their whole name. That's what they wrote. And they actually say this is directed to Beck, as I don't think math can solve it.
I hope that
Wow.
Did they definitely say math or Matt?
They definitely said math. For a second, I thought, but I don't think Matt can solve it. To be fair, it's largely synonymous at this point in time. But they capitalized math. So I feel like maybe they think my name is math. I don't know.
They've also spelt my name like the singer.
Oh, they have? You got a bonus K.
Yeah.
This is directed to Beck K, as I don't think math can solve it. Beck. Oh, there's another one. They're consistent.
So maybe it's Matt H.
Matt H. The problem is, how can one make friends after adulthood? They're saying it's so weird not being able to just like hang out and talk about bands and music and funny things. Now, as an adult, everything's serious. So they want to know, how can one make new friends and not just new adult acquaintances?
Yeah. Well, I guess the first thing I would say is obviously everyone is wired differently. So
Yes.
I'd find it relatively easy to make friends. I mean, I get anxious.
You have a lot of friends.
Yeah. Do you know what though? I think it's because I don't have an acquaintance setting.
Oh, right. That's a good point.
If I meet you and we exchange names, we are friends.
Friend time.
Sometimes I don't even get your name, and it won't be for several times that we meet until I say, oh, I never got your name.
Names are arbitrary anyway.
So yeah, I do tend to, I think that might be one thing to bear in mind.
Well, this is why you were a very useful acquaintance at like the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Because if I hang out with you,
oh yeah,
just a constant stream of people are like, oh, hey, Beck, and say hi and hang out. You're like the gateway to a whole social network.
Yeah, I'm that with social network. You're that with like actual fans. Like you'll get stopped by people that you've never met before who know who you are and excited to meet you. Yeah. I will get stopped by people who I had a drink with 4 years ago.
Yep.
And still occasionally text and go, oh, how's your dog?
That's an actual example. Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, because my advice would be just force yourself on people. Like, not physically, that's terrible advice. I just, what I tend to do is I go in with the expectation we are going to be friends, and you'll find that most people will not resist that. And if they do, then you just leave it, because you know what? There's loads of other people.
There's plenty of other humans on the land.
Yeah.
Well, are we technically work friends? Like, what's our origin story?
Well, we met at Green Man Festival.
We did. Yes. At work.
Yeah. And that was briefly because I was gigging there with the wonderful Ken Valentine.
Yes, good old Ken.
Yep.
Another Aussie.
I think he introduced us. And Helen Arnie, I already knew.
Thing. Did we do the radio thing together?
We did do a radio thing together,
yeah. It was. And here we are now.
Yeah.
Still talking into microphones in the same room.
I feel like that there was a weird gap where it was like we briefly sort of knew who each other were.
Yeah.
And then it was suddenly, But
I don't know if this is an Australian thing, but because we got on well and we started working together, we're like, well, I guess we're friends now.
Well, do you know what? It was because we wanted to hang out more. Yeah, and you were like, let's do a podcast. That's true. We
managed to justify a podcast.
And for about 2 years,
monetizing our hanging out.
We kept meeting up to talk about the podcast.
Yeah.
And then just had drinks.
And
they were like, we should probably do this.
We should probably, yeah. So I don't know if there's any transferable advice.
Yeah. So my advice, these are things that I try and follow as well. One of them is when you meet someone and they tell you their name.
Yep.
Repeat the name back to them when you're talking to them. And then try and say it a couple of times, because one issue I tend to have is, I don't remember people's names. And I really like it when people remember mine. And so I want to respect people in a similar way. So that is something that I've been working on getting better at. So that helps. Yep. I know it's just a little thing.
That's a little thing.
And I suppose just in terms of meeting people and social stuff, I think it is about putting yourself out there. I made a lot more friends when I started doing more things on my own and getting more confident that was okay and talking to people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's 100% when you move somewhere new, signing up for clubs and sports activities and things,
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's a really good place to make friends? An improv course.
Yeah.
Because it is full of people who are looking for more confidence to say yes and.
I've still got friends from doing comedy courses. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think
it's not the pub. That's not where you go to. Maybe if there's a quiz night on, something where it's an activity.
I feel like a quiz night is almost like you don't just go there and meet people and say, can I be in your team?
Yeah, that's true. You need to
take people to that.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
I would say that making friends there's a lot of it is about being proactive as well, which is a scary thing. It's really scary. I've got a friend and a member of my family who both live in Adelaide, and they keep saying, "Oh, we'll meet up." Like they meet up whenever I'm in town.
Yeah, but never otherwise.
But they're always saying, "Oh, we should talk." But neither of them are the type of people who are comfortable reaching out.
That,
yeah.
In the very similar vein, the way I get friends is to steal them. They're more often than not a friend of a friend.
That's true.
And then we're like, look, let's just cut out the middle person here.
Yeah, maybe you should try that, Marcus.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's worked a treat for me.
Go around stealing friends.
But it does require, it's like that situation. It does then require one of the two parties saying, hey, let's meet up or let's do a thing or,
you
need to actively then provide a nucleation point.
Yeah. I think common interest groups are really good. In fact, I've got a lot of friends who I met through online things back in the day of forums. And even today I've met people from Twitter.
Yeah, but making plans and sticking to them, takes work. But, we're social creatures and it's important.
Yeah. I think my one piece of advice would be find a common interest and see if you find something that makes you passionate, something that you enjoy talking about.
Yeah.
And then see if you can find a group that
Who
is
do that.
dedicated to it, because it'll be full of people who are in the exact same position as you.
That's good pragmatic advice.
Yeah. And then you've got something to keep you all together.
Yeah.
You don't have to rely on chemistry to get along.
No.
There's always something else to talk
No.
about.
Unless you're really into chemistry, then that's a great idea.
Yes.
Join a titration club.
That is a poster right there.
There you go.
Well, Marcus, let us know if you can give that a dinglet, or anyone else if that's helped. Or do you know what? That advice is very specific for you and me.
Yeah.
There might be other people out there who have different advice.
Yeah.
And there might be other people out there who need advice. So I think let's start a hashtag.
Okay. Well, so people can just tweet at us
Yeah.
their advice for making friends.
They could tweet at us, but I think if you use the
Or-
hashtag, and that way anyone who needs to see the answer
Can find it.
can find it
It
on the
doesn't have to be
hashtag.
advice. It could just be, how did you meet your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hashtag friending.
Friending.
Friending with 2 Ds.
So not like friending. Friending. Friending.
Yeah. Friending.
Friending with 2 Ds.
Yeah.
Got it. Hashtag friending.
A to the other, B to the isness.
Is that the new theme song for AOB?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm on board.
It is. Any other business? Matt, do you have any other business?
Any other business is like the biscuit crumbs in the bottom
Oh, yeah. And
of the biscuit barrel.
This is the part of the podcast where you metaphorically lick your finger and dip it across the plate.
Yeah,
Pick up the
exactly.
last few
Yeah.
bits of
Any
sugar.
other biscuit analogies? That's what it stands for. I have a correction. I said a number wrong. When I was talking about the lottery, this was the long lead up to talking about genes. I did this whole lottery example. And a mathematician who's also a friend of mine, Peter Rowlett, went through it and double checked all my working out.
Amazing.
I just want to say how great that is.
Do you mean Peter Rella as in mathematical objects?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we recommend their
we mentioned.
podcast,
Yeah.
and they correct us.
Exactly. Thanks, Peter. So
So I
Peter,
guess if you like facts, go listen to their podcast.
yeah, if you like things that are correct. But they said they're always on the lookout for neat combinatorics to use in their lectures. And so when they heard me talk about the lottery, they're like, oh, that's interesting. They've not looked at it that way before. So they sat down, did all the working out. When I was talking about discounting every lottery ticket that's picked the number 7 in it, I said, just offhand, I said, which is a lot, over 500,000. And they're like, that doesn't sound right. And they went and checked, and it's actually 4.5 million tickets that I would be discounting in that scenario.
Ah.
And I realized, I went back and looked at my spreadsheet, I read the wrong cell. So I looked over and I read the number for all the tickets that had all odd numbers, which is just over 500,000. In fact, the ones that have a 7 on them, not the digit, the number, is 4.5 million. So I just read the wrong number. Everything else around that was correct. All my other numbers and conclusions and everything else spot on. I just literally read out the wrong number, but my working out was correct. And for the record, 4.5 million is over 500,000. You can argue about whether it's just over, but it's definitely over. And compared to all numbers, it's only just over 500,000. Because numbers get pretty big. So,
Forever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, yeah. I think I was only just over the correct answer. Yeah.
Cool.
So there you are. I'm sorry I read the wrong number, but I'm glad our eagle-eyed listeners were able to spot that.
It's funny you should say that, because we had a lot of people write in to say that we offhandedly said, oh, well, I should hope that there's no bacteria in any food.
Oh my goodness, so
in
many
episode
people.
031. And what I would like everyone to know is that immediately after we said that, we then went, oh, well, actually, except for the good bacteria, there's a lot of food with good bacteria. But because Matt and I have a tendency to ramble,
oh my goodness,
our wonderful producer,
these recordings are hours long.
Lauren Armstrong Carter, has to cut them down. And that little bit of us saying, oh, but not all food.
Yeah,
because
that went.
that went. So we had covered that. It's just there wasn't time to keep going into it because Matt and I ramble. So as a general rule, either we're wrong, like Matt was with the maths.
Whoa. Maybe just afterwards I said, oh, no, wait, this other number. And then Lauren took that out of the edit. I think everything, if you don't hear it, it's Lauren's fault. Every time.
Okay, yeah. That's the next rule.
That's it.
If you don't like something, it's Lauren's fault.
Lauren. What's the chance she leaves this in the episode?
Well, you're the maths guy. There is another bit of any other business. The podcast, speaking of podcasts.
Yep.
Dream Factory.
Dream Factory. We're re-promoting all the same podcasts.
We are.
They're still good.
So that's the podcast where two lovely gentlemen come up with what they think films are based on silly pun titles that people have sent them.
Yeah.
And I said to you, Matt, come up with a pun title.
You did.
And then you said Fast and Spurious.
Correct. As in the edit.
Yeah. And they were very impressed by that.
Yeah.
And I found that very amusing because what had actually happened is I said, come up with a fun title. And then we sat here for quite some time.
Yeah, because I did a bunch that were callbacks to the episode.
Yes.
And you're like, no, it's got to be a standalone one.
It won't make sense. Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even think of movies now. And then we did Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
To be fair, the Fast and the Furious is like my go-to comedy film franchise.
You know what mine is?
What's yours?
Dustin Checks In.
What?
Dustin Checks In? Sorry. No, Dustin Checks In would be my pun one, actually. That'd be Dustin Hoffman checking into a hotel. It's Dunstan Checks In that always makes me think of it. Dunstan Checks In is a 90s kids family film about an orangutan that checks into a hotel.
We go for different levels of niche. I go for one of the biggest movie franchises ever that everyone's heard about.
I bet you.
You're like, remember that movie from the 90s when an orangutan checks into a hotel?
Hey, you who's listening to this? I know you know exactly what film I'm talking about.
No, you
and
don't.
You are
stop pretending.
Nodding.
No, don't.
Ferociously.
Beck.
We'll do a poll. All right, we're doing a poll.
Fine,
Twitter poll.
do it.
Have you heard of Dunstan Checks In?
I have not heard of
before this episode.
I don't think it's even a real film.
Yes or no? We'll put it on Twitter. Find it on Twitter. Vote on the poll.
No cheating.
We'll put a movie poster on the Instagram.
No, we won't.
Yes, we will. I got a fact about that as well. The orangutan was played by a female orangutan.
Oh, there you go.
Even though they refer to them as Dunstan and a him. That's because the female orangutan's less aggressive. Facts.
Wise. Good fact.
Anyway. That's my Anyway, what I was going to say is you went to Fast and you went to Fast and the Spurious. It sounded like you went to it so quickly. I went to a pun title so quickly, I did it before the actual title. With Dustin Checks In.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. You can't help but pun. It's reflex. So, I'd like the record to state Beck was quick with puns. And sometimes the edit taketh, and sometimes the edit giveth. But it all balances out.
Does all balance out. Yeah. What we're trying to say is, don't leave us, Lauren. And now to thank all of you for listening.
Thank you all.
For giving us lovely reviews on Apple Podcasts. Oh my gosh, that is very helpful. Please keep doing that. If anything, thanks for telling people about who we are.
Yep.
And especially thank you to our Patreon listeners.
You're all the best.
Because you're the reason we can continue to do this and pay for our wonderful producer.
And we do, yes. So we have a tradition where we pick 3 names at random.
Yes.
At the end to thank from our Patreon supporters. And Joshua Miller here has written in and said, are the 3 names chosen at random at the end of an episode actually random, or are they randomly drawn from the set of names not yet chosen? And I will say they are completely random.
Yeah.
I get the complete list of all supporters afresh every time, sort them all randomly, and take the top 3 names. Which this episode are...
Kim Larson.
Freeman Stephenson.
And Ira Sanborn.
Thank you all so much.
Yay. And remember, if you sign up to Patreon, you can set your own amount. And you get our bonus show, which has absolutely nothing factual in it.
No, not the slightest.
I'm a Wizard.
Oh, it's great though.
Matt and I just muck about and pretend we're wizards.
I just realised, Beck, I didn't bring my cards in from home. Tell you what, if you do the credits, I reckon I can find a deck.
You literally just have a pack there.
Oh, but I won't be able to do my system.
A Problem Squared was brought to you by Matt Parker, myself, Beck Hill, and Lauren Armstrong Carter.
Oh, and Beck, was this your card?
No.
Oh, to be fair, I was back to square one.
I tell you what, though, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that was one of the group.
That was my best guess.
Yeah.
I thought we had narrowed it down.
Mm.
Nuts. Oh, well. I need to remember that one now.